now it is time for the pitch competition. So we're going to have 7 companies pitching for 7 minutes each with 2 minutes of questions. And at the end, there's going to be a poll with a QR code.
Hello, everyone. I'm Vicky, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Loom Health, where we're building the next generation of wearable sensors to measure what matters. So today I want to talk to you about hormones. And before we start, can I get anyone that's ever had a hormone test to put up their hand, whether that's via a doctor or a mail-in test kit? And leave your hand up if from that test they showed something that was out of range or some kind of imbalance. Okay, well, you're not alone, because it's estimated that over 70% of people have some kind of hormone imbalance. This leads to all kinds of issues with short and long-term health, including impacting your longevity. But unfortunately, many people are left undiagnosed because of how difficult it is to measure. Nobody likes needles, at least I haven't met anybody that does. And one of the issues as well is that your hormones fluctuate a lot during the day. So this actually masks our ability to detect issues, because it can change so much if you just measure it at a different time of day the next week. So what we're going to do about it is we're trying to close the loop on hormone health to help empower you to live your best. And we're going to do that by measuring your hormones and using that information to motivate your behavior change around how you manage your hormonal health. And ideally, that will end up with your hormones being much more in sync, and will help you with lots of different markers of longevity as well. We're doing this by making the first non-invasive and continuous hormone sensor that's ever been available. We're starting by measuring melatonin and cortisol, and we do this via a process using sweat as the biofluid. So we can non-invasively extract the sweat in a localized spot. I've got a little prop here. This is not our device. And it will collect the sweat and then measure it using electrochemistry. And then we'll be able to use that data to help coach you using other APIs from other devices like the Apple Watch, like sleep and exercise. And then we can translate that and contextualize it to you and your individual goals, and give you daily feedback and targets, and then monitor your progress over time. Now, right now we have some traction in the market. We're actually offering an existing coaching service, and we're seeing amazing results already with our clients. Just last week, we saw one of our clients have a 270% increase in their hormone response after our 2-week program, which is mainly light interventions right now. In the long term, we're developing this wearable sensor. It will also have some replaceable sensor cartridge components, and we estimate it'll be about $700 a year to have continuous hormone monitoring for different hormones of interest. Now, if we look at our market size as all the people that have Apple Watches right now, as you can see, it works out to be a pretty big TAM. So how far have we come so far? We've made a lot of progress across the different areas of our technology. So as I said, we actually extract sweat, so you don't have to be actively exercising for us to take measurements. We have a prototype that's able to do that right now. Our sensor just today actually started measuring cortisol as well. So we have a benchtop sensor that's measuring melatonin in the femtomolar ranges, which is below even physiological ranges. And cortisol is just starting to be measuring today. And we also have a Loom app that we're using with our coaching clients that, again, as I said, contextualizes this and gives you simple, easy to implement feedback that you can do on a day-to-day basis. What we're going to do next is start fundraising again, because as we all know, building hardware is very expensive. And we're going to use that money to build all of these things into our first wearable prototype. Ideally, it will be available in the next 2 years. Our long-term vision goes beyond just melatonin and cortisol. We really see ourselves as the home for your hormone health, and want to be a platform to help you manage your health in all the different stages of life, from from fitness to illness and everything in between. And we really want to help you understand what's going on beneath the skin and use that to motivate better behavior around your health. We have a great team behind us of scientists and engineers, from Tim, who was the first electrical engineer on the iPhone and Apple Watch, and my co-founder Jonathan, who's a medical doctor from South Africa. And we have incredible advisors as well, and our team is growing. And my ask from you is, if you're interested in this at all, please sign up for our waitlist. We also have a early access beta program. We have a waitlist for that as well, but we are prioritizing people that are in San Francisco. So if you're interested in that, please reach out to me via my email, vicky@loomhealth.io, and I'd be happy to chat to you about whether you'd be a good fit for our program. And with that, I'd open the floor to any questions. So there is an incubation time that's required for the sweat to actually capture the hormone molecule. That right now we're at about 15 minutes, but it could get lower. But for melatonin, for example, because the period is 24 hours, we usually the gold standard is to sample every hour. Yeah, we actually just spoke to Whoop this morning. So we are trying to be agnostic to the platform, but because we're a small startup, we have to start somewhere. And Apple Watch is a great one because of how popular they are in the market. They also have a light sensor on the Apple Watch. Not many people know this, but that can help detect how much light you're getting during the day. And because melatonin is directly influenced by light, it helps us understand the user's behavior as well. But yes, we are open to more collaborations.
I'm not familiar with the space of non-invasive tracking, so I'm curious, how precise can you be? Will you need to have like FDA approval, or is this something customers would be able to use without that? So I'm curious about the quality and compliance you need.
It is a really interesting question because it really begs the question of what are we really measuring? And everything is just a proxy for some other thing that's going on in our body. And the gold standard marker for a lot of hormones right now comes from blood, but sweat really is just processed blood, my co-founder, who's the medical doctor, likes to say. And we did some experiments, and there's other experiments that show that a lot of hormones correlate almost perfectly between sweat and blood. And actually it's similar to how saliva is often used as well for cortisol measurements as well. So from that perspective, it can be quite accurate to the gold standard. But again, we're trying to measure something that's even more abstract than just what we're measuring in blood, which is health and longevity. And as this whole conference is talking about, is how do we find the right markers? But right now we know we don't have access to continuous measurement. So just being able to get those daily fluctuations wherever we can access them will be very powerful.
Thank you so much for the invitation to share some of the work that we're doing at RenewBio. So I'm Salah Mahmoudi. I'm a co-founder and CEO of RenewBio. We are a Stanford spin-out developing next-generation regenerative medicines for the aging brain. So I think we had several talks this morning really highlighting the dramatic increase in risk and incidences of brain disorders in the aging population, and how, despite a lot of effort, we still have very limited therapeutic options for these populations or these patients. So at RenewBio, we are initially tackling chemobrain. This is a condition where cancer therapy patients have an impairment in thinking and memory, and in very much resembles an accelerated brain aging process. Now, this is very common. 45% of chemotherapy patients suffer from this, with many of them not being able to go back to a normal life or back to work, and in average lasts for 5 years or until the end of life. And there are currently no FDA-approved drugs to treat this, and most of the effort so far has been really on focusing on treating the symptoms rather than the disease. And despite the fact that almost 80% of cancer survivors are age 60 and above, there's very little attention has been put on the aging component. So at Renew Bio, we are developing disease-modifying small molecules that boost cognitive recovery by reactivating the stem cells and these regenerative processes in the aging brain. So these stem cells are crucial for repairing brain damage, and their functional decline with age coincides with this dramatic increase in many of these brain disorders. Now, due to their proliferative nature, they're also particularly sensitive to chemotherapy. So at Renew Bio, we have identified novel ways to reactivate or re-engage these stem cells in the aging brain so that can do what they're supposed to do and alleviate these diseases and injuries. So to this end, we have a target discovery engine that allows us to identify candidate therapeutic targets that boost stem cell activity directly in old cells and in the old brain. And this is unique, and this is very important. I know I'm kind of preaching to the choir here, but it makes a huge difference in doing these screens in old compared to young. And this is something that we could also show in our proof of concept study that was just published in Nature a couple of months ago, where we did a comparison between young and old stem cells and the screens, and found that the vast majority of hits are actually either exclusive for the young or exclusive for the old. And what this suggests is that old cells and old tissues have very unique needs, and if you don't look for a solution in the old, you're going to miss out on the solutions that we're identifying, and perhaps even worse, you might focus on things that only work in the young and not in the old. And let me remind you that, again, 80% of these cancer survivors are age 60 and above, so it's important. So leveraging this target discovery engine, we have identified very exciting druggable pathways and targets that boost regeneration in the old brain. And based on this, we have now conducted small molecule screens and secured IP around small molecule assets that can actually boost stem cell activity from 2-fold up to 8-fold. And some of these have been shown also in aged animals to boost that, and also have shown to improve disease outcomes for neurodegenerative disease models. So this now really allows us to go after chemobrain in an effective manner. And if you look at the chemobrain therapeutics market, it's a $12 billion market, and if you're focusing on our niche group, that's an initial $800 million market. So this is how our competitive landscape looks like. So what's been tested is mainly been focused on treating the symptoms. We are uniquely targeting the disease mechanisms, and our targets are all coming from the aging brain. Now, this is just the beginning. We're starting with chemobrain because we think there's a fast-track path to first-in-human testing. But from there, we can expand into other neurodegenerative, both injuries as well as diseases, with really the broader vision of helping people live longer, healthier lives. So we have received a lot of traction so far. So I mentioned our proof of concept study was published in Nature about 2 months ago. We have secured initial investment that has allowed us to secure IP and start our lab down at the Center of Novel Therapeutics in UCSD. And we have ongoing collaborations with top-notch academic institutes and also part of accelerated programs, both at Berkeley as well as down in UCSD. So this is kind of where we're at. We have identified these really exciting targets and assets that we're now testing with our lead asset being a third-generation compound with optimized potency, stability, and tolerability. And the next round, we will further optimize these compounds and move towards IND-enabling studies, and we expect to file an IND in the next 2 years. So as I mentioned, we're an awesome team from Stanford University. So I'm an operator. This is my second company. I also have led multidisciplinary drug discovery and target discovery teams, both in academia as well as in industry. In my postdoc, I met with my co-founder, Tyson Riutes. He's the one who has developed this amazing technology that I've been sharing with you. And we have also experts, true experts in small molecule design and therapeutics. Ramil has targets or has compounds in the clinic as well as on the market, as well as the experts on AI and the legal aspect of it. And we are having ongoing discussions with really world-renowned experts on aging and stem cells, on drug development, as well as preclinical and the clinical aspects of chemobrain as an indication. So I'm going to stop there just to kind of highlight that we are a strong team, really innovative drug discovery engine, and we have small molecules that we are developing for therapeutics. We are we're preparing for our next round, and that's going to be in the end of Q1, beginning of Q2 in 2025. So love to chat with anyone who would be interested in that. But in the meantime, happy to take any questions as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Salah. Have you tested the efficacy of these small molecules relative to hyperbaric oxygen therapy?
No, we have not done so far. So what the genetic screen allowed us to do was to test our targets against already known targets. And towards those, our targets are performing really well. So not that one in particular, but that would be something that would be interesting.
Ani, at Ani, we are like NSA. Everybody knows that we are here, but nobody knows what we exactly do. And I will tell you what we exactly do today. We will demystify this. So we do a lot of clinical trials, approximately 30. But I won't speak about those today. I will speak tomorrow. Once we started doing all these trials, we realized that 90% of our time is something that we hate to do. It's overhead hours. And then how can we centralize all the data? How can we extract more data? And that space haven't changed for decades. Nobody disrupted the clinical trials. Why? We didn't see a good reason for that. So then we went out there to see, can we just outsource that? And people wanted to charge us $25,000 for a simple app that doesn't actually do anything. And we said, if we would imagine a super app, what would it have? Gen AI level of customization. Anything you imagine, you have it in 24 hours. Must have biomarker inside, because why not? We are living in digital age. Longitudinal tracking. It must give you more data. It must give you more insights. Assistive features. We are getting assistive features from our phone, what to eat. Why not to have it within clinical trials? And scientific excellence. It cannot be made by 2 geeks from Silicon Valley that don't know anything about science. Because we didn't find it, we just made it. First, it's 100% customized in 24 hours. You imagine it, anonymization, randomization. You want that patients report flares, we have it. Any questionnaire, any variable. This is just an example that we just made for MD PhD from University Hospital in Zagreb. Beautiful project, keto Mediterranean diet. So we even put this small olive here. And then he asked, can people report flares? Of course, we added it. Can we get this and this and these questionnaires? Of course, and we gave that. We made it in 24 hours, and it's really, really on high level. We can adapt it to any clinical trial. Then we developed a multimodal biomarker. It's based on oral immunology that we are taking pictures of the tongue. We have 12 machine learning models that can detect more than 10,000 different conditions. Same with the eye, neural ophthalmology, and multi-agent system that is asking questions based on these signals. To make everything a bit more complicated, we also developed multispectral scanner that is giving us 65 times more data than only from selfie camera, only from picture. Imagine it as untargeted or targeted metabolomics. This one you know what does it do, and this one you hope you will find out what does it do and retroactively find out a lot of data. And we allowed all the omics integration. And we have multiple patents on these omics, so it's not just typical omics, we have some secret sauces there as well. The most important thing, longitudinal, daily. You cannot just have snapshot in time. We are living in 2024, soon 2025. I refuse to have it. And I refuse to have any compromise. Okay, let's put this measurement and then we will exclude this. Because of that, we have fragmented data that is not allowing us to actually decode our biology. This is 1 minute a day. You take your picture of the tongue, picture neural ophthalmology, you answer set of simple questions, and that's it. If you have multispectral scanner, it takes 10 seconds extra. You might ask yourself, where's the money? Well, this is the money. 1.5 trillion opportunity right away. 50% of people do not respond to medicine. So what we do, we are personalizing small molecules, all FDA approved already, so that we can reduce side effects, improve endpoints, and turn non-responders into responders. We speak with largest pharmaceutical company in the world, quite seriously, and we are in due diligence process with largest medical nutrition company. So stay tuned for next year for this. It's like the engine for drug discovery, but we do multifaceted approach, so simultaneously all the pathways, because one target, one molecule pathway, if they didn't tell you, it's outdated. Technology behind. We have now, I think, 37 machine learning models behind, but it's not about those 37 models. It's about neural network that is using this. So to our ANI, we are giving this to benchmark. You know how some people give assistive tools so doctors can make better decisions? We are giving these assistive tools to ANI. And we are crazy about AI. As soon as it's going to be legally possible, we are going to give ANI 33% of our company. Now we are also introducing holomorphic data protection encryption that only Apple has on high level, and we have all these compliances. Studies. Yeah, I will talk about that tomorrow. We don't have time, but we just 2 weeks ago got 4 new grants for 4 new trials, 600 people including, and we are also about to launch largest longitudinal longevity trial ever. We will collect 1.7 million people in it, and we will open source it to academic community. We will actually decode biology within the next 5 years. Yes, in trials we are using our biomarker, but we also use our molecules, and I will talk about that tomorrow, but we are ticking all the boxes. We showed that complex molecular systems that have multiple molecules and targeting multiple pathways are superior to one target, one approach. And we are showing inter-individual response. We are showing why we need to personalize those. More about it tomorrow. Long story short, we can save up to 50% of overhead hours so people can focus on what is actually important. This 20x data is only placeholder. It can be few thousand x if we include the omics. Best part, I can grant you, for all researchers, I can grant you full access for app for free. I can also grant you omics. We can discuss which omics, but just reach out and we want to enter additional 50 trials by the end of this year. A bit about the team. Yeah, we are a bit crazy. We are a small team, but highly efficient. We believe that we cannot build super intelligence and that we cannot become multiplanetary civilization until we decode our biology, and all the tools are here. We have everything. It's only engineering problem. More data, more computing power. So let's just do it. If that sounds crazy, then we are crazy. As our 85 investors, including the Lonza VC, the most selective VC in our industry, here are some nice recognitions that you can see that usually startups show you when they don't have revenue. But the biggest recognition of all of them is on my next slide. And I'm really humbled, really, and honored and grateful that this person, maybe you heard about him, decided to accept a role of president of our scientific advisory board. Dr. Erik Verdin, welcome to ANI. I'm really grateful for the trust. So, just a summary about what we do at ANI, but the most important thing is we are sure, we don't believe this, we are sure that longevity drug won't be a molecule but an algorithm, and we already built such an algorithm. Please, let's put it in use, let's make a difference today, let's do applied science today, and let's help people today, and let's decode our biology today. Thank you.
in your legs. Start. All right. Oh, this is very tall. Someone's. Hi, everybody. My name is Mai Nguyen, and I'm the CEO of Optoceutics. And we've developed a light-based brain stimulation to prevent and treat cognitive decline, such as Alzheimer's. I want you to let something sink in, is that by the time that I finish saying this, someone has developed Alzheimer's, a disease that all you guys must know that strips an individual of their identity, personality, meaning, but it also destroys families. I know this as I experienced firsthand the physical, emotional toll that it took on me, watching my own dad deteriorate in 2020. And it still hurts today. And as many of you know, there are millions of cases of Alzheimer's and dementia, and yet, with cases still rising, we still don't have a cure. And pharmacological treatments are not only mostly ineffective, expensive, but it also comes with a lot of side effects. Therefore, a diagnosis in Alzheimer's in the last 2 decades has been considered a death sentence. But that doesn't necessarily have to be the case today, as we know that the brain begins to decline 15 to 20 years before symptoms arises. And with innovative technology and advances, what a lot of people have said today in blood biomarker and diagnostic tools, we're able to detect much earlier the decline of the brain. And in combination with neural stimulation technology, such as 40 Hertz lights, we can potentially prevent the disease from even happening. Using the eyes as the gateway to the brain to induce brain activity, we can target the root cause of Alzheimer's. How do we do this? By having a light-based stimulation that beats 40 times per second in order to reach neurons across the brainwave network while synchronizing and strengthening the brainwave, particularly gamma, that are often reduced and seen in Alzheimer's disease. This has been shown by scientists to not only restore brain connectivity, activate microglia cells to reduce amyloid as well as tau tangulation, but it also preserves myelination in the brain and can also impact disease progression in the future. But what does light flickering at 40 Hertz look like? I just want to warn you guys, if you're sensitive to flashing light, look away before I move on to my next slide. If not, this is what 40 Hertz light look like. It is extremely uncomfortable to most people and unbearable to some. And it also can induce headache, nausea, and other more severe side effects. Sorry, I left that on for too long. I apologize. So what Optoceutics did is that we developed a technology and patented a light that not only minimizes this flashing effect, as you can see in that panel, it's actually flashing, but you don't see it. The eyes don't see it, and it still retains the 40 Hertz stimulation in the brain and is effective even without you looking directly at it. What does that mean? That means that you are able to apply it to any daily life activity while you're reading, working on the computer, and still reap the beneficial effect of 40 Hertz stimulation in the brain. Compared to our competitors, we offer a high degree of comfort, freedom of movement, convenience, as well as a much higher adherence and compliance. Can you imagine someone sitting there for an hour a day with that strobing light in their eyes in a goggle? That's why we built this, is so that you're able to not only just be around it and be able to have the technology, and we're also built on credible key various indicators. Along with our eye tracking technology, as well as our app, which allows for users to manage their exposure, but at the same time allows an AI-driven customization and social sharing that is able to enhance a user's profile and allows healthcare providers to also give feedback to the individuals that are using the device. We have a massive unmet healthcare need currently with a high growth segment. Conservatively speaking, the total addressable market is $110 billion, $15 billion of which we are targeting, which is expected to triple in the next 30 years alone. we are actually having a dual path strategy. And what do I mean by that? Is that we're not only pursuing a medical device certification through our phase 1 and 2 clinical trials, we're also offering this to individuals as a direct-to-consumer general wellness product. Not only because that allows us to help people today, because the light is non-invasive, as well as has minimum risk, we don't feel that it was morally correct, and especially for me, that my dad passed away in 2020, without even being able to even use this device. And so I promised myself that instead of holding it for 5 to 10 years in a phase 3 clinical trials, that we're able to release a product for people to have hope and even try and test and learn and accelerate our growth once we get medical certification. Our go-to-market strategy is forever evolving currently, and we are trying to learn from a U.S., grow and expand in the U.S. with a direct-to-consumer digital marketing approach, followed by a nurtured campaign catered towards healthcare providers within the cognitive and healthcare sectors. This will also give us insight into our global expansion. Since the release of our device earlier this year, we have $500,000 in revenue, and it's projected to gain about $1 million in revenue next year. Here is our pro forma with an annualized growth forecasted all the way till 2032, which is where we anticipate an exit. In order to do all this, we've assembled a multidisciplinary team who have years of experience in medical devices, biotechnology, as well as business and finance, and also neuroscience. Along with that, we also have some of the world's leading key opinion leaders, clinicians, as well as advisors. If some of you can recognize them, Henrik Zederberg has been named the #1 blood biomarker researcher in the world, as well as Jeffrey Cummings, who has been named the rock star of Alzheimer's. Both of them are also advisors and conductors for our phase 3 clinical trials, and we also have various other partners and strategics as well. Along with that, we have also built a strong scientific foundation, not including our own, but there's also 30 other scientists who have conducted their own studies and have supported our technology, as well as a strong patent portfolio of over 26 patents, with 7 granted so far. We're actually a Class 1 medical device certificate, BSI certified in Europe, whereas an FCC mark general wellness product here in the US. Currently, we are raising funds in order to grow and accelerate our traction here in the US, as well as finalize our clinical and regulatory certification, and grow our team in order to get this device to as many people as possible. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. My name is Mai. Again, contact me.
I'm curious, the seasonal affective disorder literature, is there anything in there about the flashing light versus just straight on? And does this have like a dual application for that?
Yeah, it actually does. As you know, that a lot of people who have seasonal depression disorder are often either a hormonal decline, which they don't have serotonin, or it's a brain connectivity issue. And so a lot of times we just started clinical trials in Alzheimer's right now on major depressive disorders in individuals who are drug resistant, and have early indications that it improves mental health in those individuals.
Okay, in the interest of time, we'll stop there. Thank you very much.
Mai, thank you so much for getting people up in front of me and instead of me, so I appreciate that. So hi, I'm Michael. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Olden Labs, and probably many of you know these numbers here. If you don't, it's pretty sad. Right now, in humans, 9 out of 10 drugs fail, and as a result, one drug costs $2 billion and takes 12 years to get to market. Alzheimer's, which is the closest thing to longevity, that thing is basically 0% efficacy. So it's going to be worse for us. And why is that the case? Well, there's a bunch of reasons, but one of the big reasons is because animal testing, which is the step that determines what goes into humans and then ultimately what succeeds, is still using pretty much the same technologies as it was in 1960s. Right? For example, in my PhD, this is what I would do. That's how you measure the strength of a mouse right now. You hold the mouse and you measure it by timer how long it takes for it to fall, and then you plot that, you write it on a piece of paper. Now, I discovered that young females can hang on for 6 hours. So it's not really a very good assay, right? But I mean, I know the PhD students here know what I'm talking about. So in any case, this level of technology means that every study that you do is super laborious, requires a lot of hands-on labor. That makes it very expensive, and that makes it also not reproducible, right? So an average study right now is like $500,000 if you want to outsource. And I did like 4 of these in my PhD, so I saved our lab $2 million. Even though there's a lot of new testing methods right now, animal research fundamentally is still required for most areas of biology, and particularly so for longevity, because when you think about it, then you realize that to the first approximation, pretty much everything that we know about aging right now comes from animal studies, not from humans and not from any of us, right? So what does this mean? Well, it means that for us to really accelerate progress, we have to figure out how to scale and how to reduce the costs and improve reproducibility in animal research, and there's no other way. So that's what we are doing at Olden. We are building the first automated animal research labs. And we are doing this by combining 3 major technologies, AI smart cages, robotics, and whole body gene delivery, ultimately into one pipeline. But the first tech and the first product on the market now is the smart cage. So the smart cage is a system that uses computer vision and AI to automatically track and quantify the health of animals in their home cage as they do their regular behavior, and no human involvement needed, right? And at this stage, we have released from this platform 17 metrics across activity, across sleep, behavior, eating and drinking, aggression, positioning, and many more on the pipeline. And when you look at aged animals, you see that many of these metrics very clearly, very substantially change with age. In fact, when you plot this out in more detail, you see that for many of them, there's a fairly predictable drop across age. And so here, 1 dot is the average of an age group, so usually 4 to 5 animals. So of course, with this data, we were wondering, can you make it into one unified number, right? Something like a biomarker for aging that gives you the true biological age. And so what we did was we took all these things and we combined them into one marker. And the idea being the same, that, look, if this one marker is giving you a lower biological age than the chronological age, then hopefully your treatment is actually effective. And if it's higher, then it must be toxic, right? But there's a bunch of markers like this out there right now. But the key difference is this is not based on a biomarker. This is based on actual health and behavior, right? So if this number goes up, if it's good, you've actually made the animal healthier. And when we did this, try to see, can we actually predict the chronological age of regular animals? Then the answer is yes, very definitely. It's very clearly there. Now, there's a bunch of more work that we need to do before we release because we want to make it robust and so on, but very clearly this thing works, right? Now, these smart cages is something that I really wanted to use in my own PhD when I was doing these longevity studies. And I ended up not being able to do that because they just weren't accessible enough and weren't sufficiently high throughput. So here you're seeing the Promethean, the Stable-Assisted Promethean cages, which is currently the best in class, one of the most commonly used ones. One cage costs you 30,000, can give you 8 metrics per 1 mouse at a time, and it requires you to put in new infrastructure for which in most places you don't even have the space for, right? So what we did was we tried to solve these things, and by now we are at a point where ours is more than 30x cheaper, can give you 20 health metrics from 5 mice simultaneously, and you can use existing racks and existing cages, right? So really what we tried to do was make it simple and easy, have it give people more and new kinds of data at much lower cost, and allowing to improve the welfare of animals while you do that. So, since we went out of stealth with this about 6 months ago, we've actually been super fortunate with the feedback we've gotten. So by now we have more than 100 labs or companies in the waitlist, including some fairly big ones. And in the first month already, we booked 170K worth of these cages, which is quite a bit considering that we didn't do any marketing at all. Funny enough, though, most of these are actually not from longevity, even though that's where I came from. But what I'm excited about the most is the feedback from the people that have actually used this. Every single one that I have so far has continued to do so and order many, many more. And it's really reducing their workloads and it's giving them the data that they otherwise couldn't have access for. And that's really what it's all about. So I'm super happy about that. None of this could have been possible without my awesome team, Noah, Bertoma, and Michael, my co-founders. Noah is the AI guy, Bertoma and Michael are the engineers, and they've really built most of the tech that you're seeing, so applause to them. And I know the problem very well, so I spent 7 years in my PhD doing these things one by hand. So yeah, unfortunately, we are not raising. We just closed a round, so it's a bit of an unfortunate timing. But if you are doing these things and you are suffering from animal studies, or if you know someone who does, we really want this to improve people's lives. So put out the word. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Leo, the founder and CEO of Jonah. And at Jonah, we believe in a world where microbiome testing will be more common than blood work. And the reason we believe that is because every aspect of our health has been linked with the gut microbiome. So it's not just gut issues, it's metabolic disease, obesity, cardiovascular disease, neurodegenerative disease, Alzheimer's, autoimmune conditions, skin conditions. As many of you know, the gut microbiome, or dysbiosis, is one of the 12 hallmarks of aging. And yet, the challenge with the gut microbiome is really the complexity. So within your gut, you've got 30 trillion organisms. They change dynamically. And in addition, the literature is moving really fast. Every single month, there are more than 2,000 studies published in PubMed on the gut microbiome. And no human can read all of these studies. So what we did at Jonah is we built an AI system that can read all of these studies. We give you a gut microbiome test. It's a stool sample, you send it off to the lab. Then the AI compares all of the patterns in your gut microbiome test results to every study that's ever been published, so that we can say for you, your microbiome fits the profile of everything from Crohn's disease to anxiety to psoriasis. And then we go a step further, and the AI reads the interventional literature on how to change your microbiome through diet, lifestyle, supplements, and medications. We build a digital twin of your microbiome. And we know, for example, that if you go vegan, it shifts your microbiome in a certain way. So we can apply that shift to your gut microbiome digitally and see how it affects your microbiome, how it affects your health. So digitally, virtually, we can give you every dietary change, every lifestyle change, every supplement, every drug, and really see how it affects your gut microbiome and ultimately impacts your health. Who did we build Jonah for? It's really three groups of people. There are people who have health issues. They're looking for root causes, and they're looking for solutions. There are athletes, biohackers, people in the longevity community. They want to perform better. They want to feel better. They want to look better. And then there's the general wellness community of people who just want to do a checkup and make sure that everything's okay. So we launched this product, the gut microbiome test, plus the AI, plus the digital twin. We're selling primarily through cash pay areas of healthcare, so longevity clinics, concierge medicine, functional medicine, health spas, some private pay GI clinics, as well as academic medical centers. In addition, we do sell direct to consumer, so each one of you can go on our website and order it right now. Makes a great Christmas present. And from a TAM standpoint, if we think about the gut microbiome being as common as blood work in the future, then there are 125 million doctor's visits in the US every year that have labs done. And that's just the US, so 3x is the global market. Of those, 38 million of those provider visits have cash pay for the labs. And so if we can reach and train 10% of that cash pay world in the next 5 years, it's a $1.5 billion sum in the US. In addition to the testing, we really see also a really big opportunity with real world data and to be able to work with life sciences, pharma, biotech industries. And what we bring to those partnerships are the data, obviously the microbiome data, we have the DNA, we have the functional analysis, we have the taxonomy. We also have additional health data about these individuals, so we know demographics, we know medical history, we know what drugs they're on, we know lifestyle, diet. Obviously we have the AI and the digital twin. And so the way in which we've been working with life sciences partners is around drug discovery, target identification, clinical trial recruitment. So for example, if you are recruiting for an early stage, a treatment naive population that are just getting a diagnosis, we can connect you with those populations. Label expansion, new indications, finding new uses for your drugs, as well as biomarker development and for treatment response. It's known today that the pre-treatment microbiome is predictive of response to immuno-oncology drugs, to biologics, and to GLP-1s. We have an incredible team of people who have been building AI in healthcare for some time. Me personally, I'm an AI PhD from 20 years ago. I've been building in healthcare that whole time. Our chief medical officer is a GI doc. He's on the governing board of the AGA. We have an amazing clinical advisory board, and we work with some of the top microbiome scientists in the world. We are just opening a fundraising round. We'll be profitable next year, and we anticipate doing $10 million in revenue next year. Thank you, everyone.
I spent the first 10 years of my career working as a healthcare professional in chronic disease management. And here's what I learned. Longevity isn't just about living longer, it's about living well. This realization helped shape my passion for creating meaningful change in healthcare and became the very reason I built MyViva Plan. My name is Lorene Wales. I'm the CEO of MyViva. And today I'm here to share that the foundation for living well and living longer is lifestyle medicine. You might think we're already doing this, but today I'm here to share how MyViva Plan is redefining lifestyle medicine, making it actionable, personalized, and scalable to create lasting change. 60% of Americans are living with at least one chronic health condition. Chronic diseases are not just the greatest threat to individual longevity, but they are undermining the future of healthcare itself. Lifestyle medicine has been proven for decades, heck, even centuries, that it works. But it continues to remain untapped. Why is that? We as clinicians, all we have at our disposal to give patients to manage their health at home are our verbal recommendations and some general handouts. The patient is left to take that information and build their own plan. But that's not the how. We're missing the how. We've given them the what, which is our advice, but that's not the how. That is not a personalized plan that specifically gives them the information and the plan that they need to live well and to live longer. And when we look at our data, the results, they're proof that we're falling short. Healthcare needs scalable, integrated solutions that make the full promise of lifestyle medicine a reality. MyViva Plan bridges this gap between the what and the how. It is the first AI program that integrates all 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine into one seamless solution. And here's how we stand out. First, personalization at scale. AI algorithms build the how. They build the individualized, personalized plan for each patient that guides them to live well and live longer. Second, collaborative health management. Patients work alongside their existing healthcare team to co-create their journey, holding them accountable, measuring outcomes, and producing sustainable behavior change. 3, clinic-centric design. It's built by clinicians for clinicians. Our platform integrates seamlessly into workflows, and that is incredibly key when it comes to technology. It saves time, it offers more equitable care, and it enhances care delivery overall. And 4, proven results. Third-party research has validated studies demonstrating MyViva's ability to improve health outcomes, patient experiences, and positive economic outcomes. We don't just tell patients what to do. We give them the how, a personalized plan for living well and living longer. We've sold into all 3 of these markets, validating product market fit and showing value to all healthcare stakeholders, including clinicians, clinics, payers, and most important, patients. We've built a VC-backable business that's poised to transform healthcare. Longevity demands more than just good ideas. It demands action, and that's why we're all here today. MyViva Plan turns lifestyle medicine into a practical, scalable reality. It provides patients with the how. Personalized lifestyle medicine to help them live well and live longer. To those who think it's just another app, we're not. We are the foundation of true longevity, helping patients live longer, living healthier lives, while empowering clinicians to deliver more equitable, sustainable care. Join us in transforming health, helping people live well, live longer, and together we can make longevity and vitality accessible to all. Thank you.
All right, we can let the voting begin then. Thank you very much. Congratulations to Michael.